Okay, so these are just a few, and I quote few, of tactile symptoms of neurological inefficiency. And then there's also, which we cannot get into for lack of time, is tactile sensory stimulations. Sensory stimulations is negatively stimulating the system and stopping or halting development. So then the visual channel, another just huge piece. We look at making sure the children's eyes are tracking and teaming and going properly. We look at, are their eyes converging properly and depth perception is accurate. You know, the child who has trouble going down the curve, maybe their convergence isn't right. Or the child that skips lines or skips words or can't hold their math column straight in a line, that could often be a tracking or convergence issue.
And often the optometrist will either not notice it or not tell you.
We look at the central detail vision. Central detail vision is everything you look at in this range, right here.
Eye contact is a big part of this.
The only time you hear about the macular vision, usually, typically, is in macular degeneration. Rarely, if ever, do you hear about underdeveloped macula. And then the child that's hyperperipheral. One aside here, how the brain learns to use central vision and learns to get the eyes tracking and converging well is that the brain has to have the eyes fixed at a specific distance over a long, high-frequency course of time. And would you just not think it's just phenomenal of our Creator that that exact distance is the distance from the hands to the eyes when that baby's on the floor creeping on his hands and knees?
That's why when we do evaluations, if someone comes to us and say, well, you just look at the visual center, or you just look at the auditory center, we say no. We have to look at the whole picture because we are eclectic. You can't separate one system from another system.
They all integrate in some ways. They innervate phenomenally. So that baby's on his hands and knees a lot, creeping. It's training the brain to track, to converge, and to use central vision. When you get past that stage, there's not a lot in the environment that will develop those visual features anymore. You're past the point of developmentally having those pieces of vision develop. So you have to go back in and specifically work on it. Okay, a few visual symptoms of neurological inefficiency.
Lacking eye contact, particularly the sensory kids. They will not look you in the eye. They look like this because they've got too much peripheral vision and not enough detail vision. Light sensitivity, this is a common one of like lots and lots of kids. Bringing in too much light, the pupil cannot respond, or the eye can't respond appropriately. Large pupils, that could be metabolic, that could be central detail vision, that could be a child who's in sensory overload and in shock.
And then, of course, visual sensory stims, which, again, for lack of time, we can't go through that. But it's very negative. It will halt development and regress development if it goes too far, such as a classic case in autism, twirling things, and a lot of watching ceiling fans. That can push a child who is not autistic, quote, that label, into autism.
It's called sensory player stimming.
Okay, auditory. There's two main ways of looking at the auditory input. There's tonal processing, which unfortunately we will not have time to cover tonight. The one we want to cover tonight is sequential processing. This is critical for the development of your child. In fact, how far your child goes is going to be totally dependent upon how well they process information.
I don't think I've evaluated one child who's coming with problems that has not had deficiency in this area.
So yes, a few auditory symptoms of neurological inefficiency is sound sensitivity, difficulty in crowds, fears, phobias, and anxieties almost always root in the auditory channel and that cranial nerve, auditory sensory stimulations. So again, if there's a symptom, all those are symptoms. If there's a symptom, that means there's a root cause. If there's a root cause, that means we can go treat it, remediate it, and often eliminate it. If we don't eliminate it, we can improve it a whole lot. So, a few things to do about neurological disorganization, because our goal is to give you things to go home and be able to work with your children.
I'm going to demonstrate this on Linda because that's visual is my best way of teaching. Deep pressure you want to get just short of causing pain, so you kind of got to gauge it. Most parents do not press hard enough. You don't want to hurt the child, but you got to get the brain's attention. Use the flats of your fingers and start at the tips of the finger and press hard, sides, top and bottom, sides, top and bottom, sides, top and bottom. Do each finger, then do the palm, use both hands, press hard, and then the thumb. If the child has a bruise or a cut, you avoid that area, you don't want to hurt him. Again, I'm bringing the thumb last. After you've done the palm, then the thumb, then you work all the way up. This is best done on bare skin. You work all the way up, and you take about 5 minutes to do all 4 of it. So I'm going quite fast for speed's sake. And most kids love this. Okay, so tips of fingers up to the shoulder, tip of finger up to the shoulder. Work the toes, doesn't matter what toe you start with, make sure you get the sides and the top and bottom. Go all the way up. Stop a few inches on the inside of the groin and come up into the hip area. Do that once, twice a day, about 5 minutes each time.
If you have younger children, 2 to 4 times a day for 2 to 3 minutes. I always say when we're going through this, when we individualize it, we tell you how many. When we're in a seminar situation, we can't individualize it, you'll have to. If it's a mild, moderate, or severe problem. If it's severe, you want more frequency. If it's moderate, medium frequency. If it's a mild problem, then just light frequency. Younger children, less duration. Older children, more duration.
Just because you have more limbs to cover usually, or more area to cover.
So you squeeze and hold to the point of response. Meaning the child either draws their fingers back and looks at you like, what on earth are you doing? Or they just, like, you notice a reaction. Ah, doesn't count. That's just manipulation.
Gloves and tactile gloves, exfoliating gloves. Ladies, do you know what those are? They're those rough gloves that get the dead skin off our faces. You can get them at our health and beauty department in Walmart. We don't have any. 2 gloves work better. This is a very light touch, so you just gently go over the fingers. For the typical person, like once a day, twice a day for 2 minutes. Always from tip to finger to knuckle. Do the fingers, then rub over the palm, front and back, then do the thumb, and work your way up. So you spend about 30 seconds per limb. It has to be on bare skin. If anything, this is what kids are going to not like. Because the surface is usually hypersensitive. If it's really extreme, it will actually cause them physical pain and discomfort. If that's the case, all you may be able to do is just do 1 swipe, and that's it. And you're done. Or you may have the child do a little bit himself and then gradually graduate to you doing it.